Yo, 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 what is going on, y'all? It's your boy, one physical therapist assistant. It is very hot. It's like 90 something degrees right now. My elbow just touched the buckle of my seatbelt. Burn me. Whoa, it's hot, y'all. I need to get one of those window visor things. Man, hope y'all doing all right today. Hope y'all doing okay today. Hey, y'all, I've just got finished working with a lady. Lady's got a real cool last name. Okay, I can't tell you her last name, but the last name is really cool. All right, it's a different type of last name. And I told her that I really like her last name. You got a question? What I told her, I said, "You got a cool last name, ma'am." And you know what she told me? She said, "Well, it's not mine." So I assumed that it's not her maiden name. She said, "It was my husband's." I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "Where's your husband at?" She said, "He's gone." I just met her, so I said, "Where's your husband at?" She said, "He's gone." I said, "Oh, okay." I said, "Where'd he go?" She was like, "Straight to hell." She started laughing. This is not introduction. It's how I met her. I tell you, I meet people like this all the time, man. Sometimes the older adults got a really good sense of humor. She said, "Straight to hell." Needless to say, he left her with a cool last name. Oh, man. But anyway, y'all, today, y'all, this is a little bit more serious. It's a little more serious, and I'm using a high-profile situation to kind of go over today's lesson, all right? Y'all know I'm a physical therapist assistant. I work primarily in nursing homes with the older adults, all right? With the older adults. I am very, very familiar with the end of life. Very familiar with the end of life. How it looks, how it goes, that it's very, very real, and that it can happen to anybody, and that it's a part of life, okay? It's a part of life, all right? I've talked about this before in other videos, man, about, making sure your paperwork is in order, making sure, you talk with your loved ones about your last wishes. Make sure you know your loved one's last wishes. Make sure you know the accounts and how many accounts they got and stuff they got that they might not tell nobody about. They got to tell somebody about the stuff, all right? Okay, estates and trusts and cryptocurrency and ledgers, all kinds of stuff. Like, you got to inform somebody that you have these things, all right? So when I heard this interview, or I heard this video from one of my favorite football players of all time, let me just start there, okay? Let me just start there, all right? Okay, so there's athletes, and then there's all-time athletes, all right? All right. If there is a list, this is how I'll say this. If there is a list, and there probably are lists, based on people's opinions, subjective, of greatest athletes of all time. If there's a list of greatest athletes of all time, if there is a list out there and you do not have this man on your list, you have no credibility in creating the list. You have absolutely no credibility in saying this is your list. You can't have this list without having this man's name on there as greatest athlete. I didn't say football player, basketball player, baseball player, hockey player, swimmer. I didn't say golfer, nothing. I just said athlete, point blank, period. All right? Let me throw some names out who you might have on your list. You might have Michael Jordan. You might have LeBron James. You might have Walter Payton. You might have Tom Brady. You might have definitely Bo Jackson. But this man right here, even if you have him number one on the top of this list, I wouldn't be mad at you. I'm not going to say where he might rank, but he should be on everybody's list as all-time greatest athlete of all time, probably for the next 100 years, all right? Let's just talk about football, okay? A two-way player. Now, when you're playing basketball, you say somebody's a good two-way player. That means they're good on offense and they're equally good on defense. Michael Jordan was an amazing two-way player, all right? Amazing two-way player. Kawhi Leonard, amazing two-way player, okay? LeBron James, good two-way player in his prime. I don't know about lately. I don't know if he's playing good defense, all right? Good two-way player. That means you're good on both ends of the court. Now, when it comes to football, let's say you hear the term two-way player in football. That's rare. That is rare, okay? That means you play two different positions. You can play offense and you can play defense. Very, very rare. Has it been done? Yes, but very, very rare. Or you play offense and you also play special teams, or defense and also special teams. Two-way player. This man, this man was a freaking three-way player in the National Football League. Did you hear me? A three-way player. That means he played offense, wide receiver, defense, cornerback, and special teams, kick returner, punt returner. Three-way player in football. That right there alone should put you on the list of greatest athletes of all time. If you can do all of those positions at a professional level. But not only did this man do that, this man played baseball. This man played professional baseball. Has to be greatest athlete of all time. He has to be. You know, you got to be greatest athlete of all time. Hands down. Hands down. Shout out to Bo Jackson. He did the same. Well, he, played both sports too. But anyway, with that greatest athlete of all time mantra probably comes a lot of bravado, a lot of sense of invulnerability, sense of invincibility. I know that probably comes along with it. It can't. How can it not? How can it not come along with that mantra, with that title? And he definitely played like it. Like he knew how good he was. Could talk as good as he played. Shout out to Deion Sanders. Shout out to Deion Sanders. My thoughts and prayers go out to him and his loved ones. It was just revealed that he was dealing with a serious health issue, but he actually came through and he beat it. According to the reports, came through and he beat it. But I heard a video that he left, and he talked about what he was going through, and he talked about how serious it was, and he talked about, he had to think about a lot of things, and one of the things he had to do was make a will. This is Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders is older. He's definitely past his prime. He's a good coach now, coaching college football. But he talked about he had to make a will. And, you glad to hear the news that, it seemed like he's, overcome this illness and it's going to be okay as far as the news reports. But to hear that he just decided to make a will is kind of like, wait a minute, what? You didn't have a will before? So that's what I'm making this video about. Another reminder to y'all, another reminder. We're talking about one of the greatest athletes of all time. I know he made substantial amount of, income throughout his career. I know he probably has, assets on top of assets, based off the salaries that he had. But to not have a will is kind of like, why not? Someone like that who's high profile like that, you would think, okay, if Deion, the man Deion, the man, the myth, the legend, if he don't have a will, then there's definitely somebody who works for him, who is around him, an accountant, a financial advisor, and I don't know, a estate planner or somebody who would suggest to him that it's important to have a will. So to hear him say that, it's kind of like, wow, you don't have a will? You are Deion Sanders, man. I know you the man, but, Father Time is undefeated. Why you don't have a will? So that's what I'm thinking this video about, y'all. Just another reminder. If you have a bank account, you should have a will. If you have a car, you should have a will. If you have a Cash App, a Venmo, if you have $50 in Bitcoin, you should have a will. If you got some cryptocurrency, you should have a will. Like, we all should have wills, all right? No matter how old you are. My son is in his 20s. I had him make a will. You have to have a will. No? Of your last wishes. What do you want to happen to your possessions? Okay? And the Deion, to hear him say that, it made me think about what I see working in the nursing homes. When I see family members come in and they, need mom and dad to sign something, need mom and dad to create a will, need to go through all of that, need to have a talk with mom and dad, a closed door talk, and they got a bunch of papers and things around when they come into a nursing home. And mom and dad is like in their 80s, 90s. These things should have been talked about before, but we don't think like that, y'all. We don't think like that. It's out of our minds because we don't want to have these discussions. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to talk about it with our loved ones. Our loved ones don't want to talk about it with us. But at the very least, we all should have a will. And for the most part, most states do accept a written will. It's got to be signed by a couple witnesses, I believe, but you should have a will. Most states accept just a handwritten will. That's the least you can do is to have a will. So what I also did, man, is I looked up, just for example, I looked up a few other famous people who have already passed away without wills. I'm sorry, this is a little bit of a, serious video, but it's something that needs to be talked about. It's something that needs to be thought about. It's something that needs to be reinforced. You feel me? And these things have to also be updated. Even if you have one, you might have to update it. You got a new car? Got to update it. Did you open up a new brokerage account? You buy some new stocks? Did you open up a new high yield savings account? You got a new CD? There's so many new things. You got a new Cash App, got a new Venmo, got a new cryptocurrency. Did you buy some Ethereum last week? Did you buy some Solana or something, some Cardano? You should have a will. Did you get a new ledger with a new 100 letter passcode? You should have a will, okay? But I looked up some famous people who have already passed away that did not have wills. I'm going to stop for a mango smoothie. When I stop, I'm gonna let y'all know some of the names, all right? Hello. Can I just get a large mango smoothie? That is it, yes ma'am. Kratom. What is kratom? We beat any price. What is kratom, y'all? It says kratom. Kratom. We beat any price. I feel like there's something cool kids would know. Kratom. I don't know what kratom is. Let me know what kratom is. All right, y'all. Smoothie is on its way. All right, yo. So I wrote a few names down, yo. Famous people who passed away without a will. Let me start with probably the most famous name. I was shocked to read this. Abraham Lincoln. What? Does it say Abraham Lincoln, yo? Who was also a lawyer. This dude was a lawyer. Not to mention, President of the United States. That's crazy. Abraham Lincoln passed away without a will. This is the research I looked up. Let me know if I'm wrong on any of this. Abraham Lincoln. How can you be president and not have a will? I feel like that should be a requirement. Abraham Lincoln. The late, great Aretha Franklin. Now, this is an interesting story. It didn't say she died without a will. It says she passed away and had some handwritten documents, but nobody knew about them. They were found years later. Later, her family found handwritten documents. So she probably had something, but did not inform the people who were in the actual documents. Barry White. One of the greatest voices you ever heard sing. Barry White. Billie Holiday. But I also learned that she passed away with very little money. Bob Marley, another one. Passed away with no will. And most of these people who passed away, like the information was saying that there were later problems amongst their loved ones divvying up their estate. You know what I'm saying? Because they didn't have the will. Pablo Picasso, one of the most famous painters ever, I believe, passed away with no will. And it said that there was a lengthy process to go over all of his assets and stuff. Steve McNair, former quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, eventually played for the Baltimore Ravens before his life was taken by a female. Former MVP of the National Football League along with Peyton Manning. I remember that was the year they did the co-MVP. Steve McNair. Tupac Shakur. Well, he was in his 20s when he passed, but still, should have had some advisors advising the man to have a will. I don't know this person, Stieg Larsson. There was a Swedish author. I've heard of this book and this movie. Swedish author who wrote Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which was a famous book, became a famous movie. I think they did 2 iterations of it in the movies. But I also read about this, that Swedish law, because they didn't have a will, they left their partner with nothing because of the Swedish law surrounding wills. Howard Hughes, billionaire, Howard Hughes, the eccentric, that's how I quoted, the eccentric billionaire. There was movies about him. Jimi Hendrix. It said that there was a 30-year estate battle over Jimi Hendrix's estate. 30-year battle amongst his people. Kurt Cobain from Nirvana. Prince. That's a familiar one that I've heard a lot. Prince did not have a will, and he had a quote unquote considerable fortune. A considerable fortune. And one that I was like sad to hear about. Oh, Sonny Bono. Sonny Bono was another one. Passed away in a skiing accident, no will. Chadwick Boseman. You're talking about the Black Panther. He played Jackie Robinson. He played James Brown. This man had some iconic roles. And the messed up part about that situation is he was diagnosed with cancer. So it was, I'm not going to say it was a foregone conclusion because it's a foregone conclusion for all of us, but he was battling cancer and still had no will. So it says that his wife was, left with some issues because of that. Oh, there go my smoothie, y'all. My man. Thanks a lot, bro.
Enjoy it.
Appreciate it. That was a tough one to hear, man. Chadwick Boseman. I loved him in Black Panther. That was a tough one, y'all. Chadwick Boseman. He played in some of the biggest movies in history. Black Panther being one of them. Avengers, Infinity War, Avengers Endgame. No will. Like I said, these famous names you hear about, even if the person in question does not have a will, does not make a will for themselves. Because like I said, you at the top of your game, you in your prime. I'm sure you're not thinking about I'm sure you're not thinking about that. And I'm sure you probably got an aura of invincibility around you, especially a player like Deion, one of the greatest athletes of all time. But it's hard for me to believe that there are people around you that don't have these conversations with you. Financial advisors, accountants, things like that. Estate planners. That is an interesting one to hear. But y'all, this is the lesson channel, okay? This is the lesson channel where you learn lessons from other people. All right. I highlighted this because it's a high profile situation. Everybody knows Deion. Shout out to Deion. He's one of my favorite football players of all time, man. I was mad when he came to the Ravens that we couldn't get a Super Bowl ring for him. He's got 2 Super Bowl rings, one with the Giants, one with the Cowboys. I was mad. on the tail end of his career, he came to the Ravens. He was still playing good. He definitely wasn't prime time, but he was playing good. And I was mad that we couldn't get him a Super Bowl ring with the Baltimore Ravens. But shout out to Deion, man. Shout out to Deion. And like I said, I am, it's good to hear that, he is going to have a will. But it's also, a little, it's like, man, Deion, you're supposed to have a will in place. But again, y'all, this is a lesson. And I'm sure he probably would say, learn from him. Learn from that and have a will. I think the quote was from him that he wanted to make sure everybody's straight. So you should be thinking about these things well before, any situation pops up. You should have a will. You should sit down with your loved ones, sit down with mom and dad, even sit down with your kids. Let them know about it. Have your will, and then also have the people know about it that you have a will, and here, you are in this will. This is what I'm leaving you. I know it's an awkward conversation to have. I get it. And, nobody wants to have those conversations, but conversations that has to be had. Oh, man. So, y'all, it's my message for today. Make sure your paperwork is in order. Make sure you got your will straight. Make sure you got your trust straight. All of that good stuff. Plan for the inevitable end, because it is inevitable. All right. Whew. So again, y'all, sorry that this is a little bit more serious. I appreciate y'all for coming through. I really do appreciate y'all for coming through. Hope everybody's doing okay in this heat. Stay cool. Stay hydrated. All right. As always, y'all, respect your elders. Make sure y'all respect your elders. Make sure you help people out whenever you get a chance. Be safe, and I will holler at y'all in the next video.